There's a moment in every early connection where you find yourself doing this exhausting thing. You're replaying a conversation. You're analyzing a text. You're asking your friends what they think, showing them screenshots, looking for evidence of something you can't quite name. And underneath all of it is one question that won't leave you alone. Is he actually falling for me, or am I making something out of nothing? I want you to stop for a second, because here's what I've come to understand after years of watching how this plays out, again and again, in countless stories people have shared with me. The signal you're looking for, the real one, the one that actually proves a man is falling. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's not in the grand gestures or the carefully chosen words. In fact, it's so quiet that most women walk right past it while they're busy looking for fireworks in the sky. And once you learn to see it, you will never unsee it. It will change the way you read every interaction you have from this moment forward. Because this one signal cuts through every game, every performance, every piece of posturing a man can offer. It's the tell that can't be faked. And by the end of the next 15 minutes, you're going to know exactly what it looks like, in all of its forms, so that you stop guessing and start knowing. Let's get into it. First, I want to talk about what you've probably been watching for, because you didn't just invent these criteria on your own, you were taught them. Movies taught you, books taught you, social media taught you, your friends and your family and the culture around you all conspired to give you a checklist of what a man falling in love looks like. And that checklist probably sounds something like this. He texts you first. He texts you often. He compliments you. He makes consistent plans. He calls you beautiful. He brings flowers. He introduces you to his friends. He says sweet things. He posts about you. He remembers little details. He plans surprises. And look, all of those things are genuinely nice. They can be meaningful. They can be real. I'm not saying they don't matter, but here's what nobody tells you. Every single one of those behaviors can be produced by a man who is not actually falling for you. Every single one. A man who is just enjoying the attention can text you first every single day. A man who wants to keep you around as an option can compliment you beautifully. A man who's been through this 100 times knows exactly what to say, when to say it, and how to say it to create the feeling of being wanted. A man who's charming, emotionally unavailable, or simply good at dating can tick every box on that checklist and walk away 6 months later without ever having felt a single real thing for you. This is the painful truth. The surface signals lie. Not because men are all bad, not because connection is impossible, but because those behaviors are performances. And performances can be delivered by anyone who's memorized the script. The man who's genuinely falling and the man who just wants to win you over can look almost identical on the outside. Almost. That word matters. Almost. Because there's one thing the performer can't produce. One thing that only shows up when something real is happening underneath the surface. And this is where we get to the heart of it. Here's the signal. The one thing a man does when he's actually falling for you is he stops performing. He stops managing your impression of him. He stops curating what you see. And slowly, quietly, almost without realizing he's doing it, he starts letting you into the unedited version of his inner life. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's the signal that cannot be faked, cannot be manufactured, cannot be forced. Because real feeling always leaks through the cracks of someone's composure. When a man is falling, his guard comes down. Not all at once, not dramatically, but in small, almost invisible moments that you'll miss entirely if you don't know what to look for. So let me show you what this actually looks like in real life. Because emotional vulnerability is such an abstract phrase that it's almost useless unless I make it concrete. There are specific forms this signal takes, and I want to walk you through 5 of them so that next time you see one, you'll recognize it for what it is. The first form is this. He hands you his worry. I want you to think about what it takes for a man to tell another person that he's anxious about something, not complaining, not venting for attention, but genuinely admitting that something is weighing on him. A work situation he's unsure about, a family dynamic that's stressing him out, a decision he hasn't figured out yet, a fear about the future, a regret from his past. Most men do not hand this to people casually. Men are often taught from a very young age to manage their emotional world privately, to project strength, to solve things before they speak about them, to keep their struggles inside their own skull. So when a man voluntarily opens the door to his worry and lets you walk in, pay attention. That is not a small thing. That is him saying, without saying it, I trust you with a version of me that isn't impressive. And here's the tell within the tell. A man who's just trying to keep you interested will share his successes, his ambitions, his wins, his best stories. A man who's falling will, at some point, share something he hasn't solved yet. Something that still hurts a little. Something that makes him look human instead of heroic. Because he's stopped trying to sell you on him. He wants you to see him. That shift, that's the signal. Now, here's a form of this that's even more subtle. And it's the second thing I want you to watch for. He shares an opinion before scanning your face to see if you'll agree. This one is so easy to miss, but I want you to start paying attention to it. When people are trying to impress someone or keep them interested, there's this almost imperceptible thing they do. They float an opinion tentatively. They read the room. They adjust based on what you seem to want. They agree a little too easily. They contradict themselves without noticing. It's not dishonesty exactly. It's performance. It's someone trying to be the version of themselves they think you'll want. But when a man is falling, something shifts. He starts to forget to do that. He'll tell you what he actually thinks about a movie, even if you just said you loved it. He'll disagree with you gently about something he cares about. He'll correct a small thing you said, not to prove a point, but because it wouldn't feel right to let it sit. He'll tell you what he likes and doesn't like without softening the edges first. Now, I want to be careful here. I'm not talking about rudeness. I'm not talking about a man being dismissive or combative or making you feel small. That's something entirely different, and that's not what we're celebrating. What I'm pointing to is the moment he feels safe enough around you to be himself instead of a curated version of himself. That relaxation, that release, that sense of, oh, I don't have to manage this anymore. That's a man who's falling. The third form of the signal is maybe my favorite one, because it's so easy to overlook, and yet it's so telling. He lets you see the unimpressive version of him. Here's what I mean. Early on, when someone's trying to win you over, they work very hard to control the frame. You see them at their best. You see them in good lighting, in nice clothes, with good stories, in interesting places. They save the messy parts for later, or ideally, for never. They want the version of themselves that exists in your mind to be as polished as possible. But a man who's falling stops protecting that frame. And it shows up in these weirdly ordinary moments. He answers your call when he's just woken up, voice scratchy, hair a mess, not trying to sound cool. He tells you he had a terrible day and actually sounds like it. He lets you see him frustrated about something small and petty, like someone cutting him off in traffic or a coworker who's driving him crazy. He admits he's tired. He admits he doesn't know something. He lets you see him order the slightly embarrassing thing off the menu. He wears the old t-shirt. He forgets to be cool. Why does this matter? Because vanity is one of the last defenses a person drops. When a man stops trying to look good in front of you, specifically, it means his attention has moved from how you're perceiving him to how he's actually feeling. That shift is enormous. He's not thinking anymore, what does she think of me? He's thinking, what is this thing happening between us? And when that becomes his primary question, everything else relaxes. Watch for this. Watch for the ordinary moments. Watch for the unimpressive ones. Because those are often where the real story is being written, quietly, while everyone else is still looking at the highlight reel. Let me bring in the fourth form of this signal. And this one requires you to train your ear because it's the quietest one yet. He includes you in his future without announcing it. I want you to notice something about language. When someone is uncertain about a connection, they speak about the future in walls. There's their future, and there's your future. and the language keeps them separate. I'm going to do this. I'm planning that. I'm thinking about moving here. My schedule is like this. Individual pronouns. Individual plans. Clean lines between two lives. But when a man is falling, the language starts to soften. Without any big announcement, without any formal conversation, he'll start saying things like, "We should try that place. You'd love this show. When you come over next time. In the summer, we could." And he says it casually, almost absent-mindedly, as if it's already decided that you're part of the picture. He's not proposing. He's not declaring anything. He's just assuming. And that assumption is the thing, because assumptions reveal what's happening in someone's subconscious. You can lie about your feelings. You can't easily lie about your assumptions. When a man's inner world has already made room for you, his language will reflect that before his words ever officially do. I want you to listen for this, not as a test, not as something to confront him with, just as information, because language is leaky. It tells on people. And a man who's falling will include you in his future long before he formally invites you into it. Okay, the fifth form. And this one ties everything together. He brings you problems he hasn't solved yet. There's a very specific type of conversation I want you to notice. Most men, when they talk to someone they're still performing for, only share problems in the past tense. The story that has an ending. The situation they've already resolved. The challenge they overcame. Because bringing a neatly resolved story is safe. It's still a kind of self-presentation. Look at how I handled this. Look at how strong I was in this moment. Look at the lesson I learned. But when a man is falling, he starts doing something different. He starts bringing you problems that are still open. Decisions he hasn't made. Situations he's in the middle of. Worries that don't have a punchline yet. He's not just telling you the story of his life after he's edited it. He's letting you into the process of figuring it out in real time. This is massive, because it means he stopped seeing you as an audience and started seeing you as a partner, even in small ways. He wants your input. He wants to think out loud in your presence. He wants to know what you think before he decides. That's not a man entertaining you. That's a man integrating you. And here's the layer underneath that. He's also trusting you with a version of him that hasn't figured it out yet. The version that's uncertain. The version that could be judged. He's trusting that you won't use his openness against him. That's the deepest form of respect a person can offer early in connection. It's saying, I'm choosing to be seen by you, even when what you'll see isn't polished. So now, let me pull all 5 of these together, because I want you to notice what they have in common. A man handing you his worry. A man sharing an opinion without scanning your reaction. A man letting you see the unimpressive version of him. A man including you in his future without announcing it. A man bringing you problems he hasn't solved yet. Every single one of these is a form of emotional self-disclosure. Every single one of these is him voluntarily dropping a layer of protection. Every single one of these is him trusting you with something he doesn't trust most people with. This is the signal. This is the one thing. It shows up in different outfits, but it's always the same core behavior underneath. And here's why it's unfakeable. Because performance is exhausting. You cannot sustain a curated version of yourself around someone forever. It takes energy to monitor how you're coming across. It takes effort to pick the right words, the right stories, the right facial expressions. A man who's just performing will eventually either get bored of the performance and disappear, or keep the performance up while keeping his real inner world hidden somewhere else, with someone else, or just from everyone. But a man who's falling, he gets tired of the performance in a different way. He gets tired because he wants to put it down. He wants to stop managing his image with you specifically. He wants to exhale around you. And that exhale, that's what you've been looking for this whole time. That's the thing you've been trying to feel. So now the question becomes, what do you do with this information? First, I want you to stop auditing surface signals like your life depends on it. Stop counting texts. Stop measuring the length of his messages. Stop analyzing every word. Those things are noise. They'll never give you a clear answer because they can be faked by anyone who's paying attention. Start listening instead for the quieter stuff. Start noticing when he hands you something real. Second, when he does hand you something real, receive it well. This matters. If a man tells you he's worried about something, don't immediately try to fix it or flood him with advice. Listen. Reflect back what you heard. Thank him, even subtly, for trusting you with it. I don't mean formally, like a thank you card. I mean with your presence, with your softness, with your attention. The way he's received in that moment teaches him whether to open again. Third, and this is important, don't overinterpret isolated moments. One vulnerable conversation isn't a marriage proposal. What you're watching for is a pattern, a direction, a trajectory. Is he opening more over time? Is his language softening around you? Is he bringing you more of himself as the weeks pass, not less? That pattern is what tells the truth. And fourth, I want you to remember this. Your job is not to extract vulnerability from him. Your job is not to pull it out. Your job is to be someone safe enough that, when he's ready, vulnerability becomes the natural choice. And that means being grounded in yourself. It means having a life that's full and interesting outside of him. It means not punishing honesty when it shows up. It means being someone he can trust with the unedited version of himself, because you're not going to weaponize it later. Quick but important note here. Everything I've said assumes a fundamentally healthy dynamic. Two people with good intentions, figuring out whether they fit. If you're in a situation where there's disrespect, manipulation, or any form of abuse, this video isn't your roadmap. What you need then isn't a sharper eye for signals. What you need is support, distance, and sometimes professional help. Please take care of yourself first, always. Now, let me bring this home, because I want to leave you with something to carry with you after you close this video. You came in here looking for proof. Proof that what you're feeling is real, that what he's doing means something, that your instincts aren't betraying you. And I want you to understand something. The fact that you are even asking these questions means your instincts are already working. You've felt something. You've sensed something underneath the surface. Your gut has been telling you to look closer. What you needed wasn't a new intuition. You needed new eyes. You needed to know where to focus. And now you do. You know that the loudest signals are often the most misleading, and that the quietest ones are often where the truth lives. You know that a man falling reveals himself not through performance, but through permission. He permits you to see him. He permits you to know him. He permits you to meet the parts of him he usually protects. So the next time you're wondering whether something real is happening, don't count the texts. Don't measure the compliments. Don't look at the highlight reel. Look at the moments in between. Look at the unpolished version. Look at what he tells you when he's not trying to impress you anymore. Look at the worry he lets you hold, the opinion he lets slip, the future that quietly includes you, the problem he brings you before he solved it. Those are the moments where a man is saying, without any of the words, I'm letting you in. And you, my friend, are strong enough, grounded enough, and clear enough to know what that's worth. If this gave you a new lens for something you've been quietly wrestling with, leave me a comment and tell me which of these 5 forms hit the hardest for you. Your reflection might be exactly what another person reading the comments needs to hear today. And if you want more of this kind of insight, the kind that cuts through the noise and gives you something you can actually use, subscribe and stick around. We're going deeper into the psychology of real connection in the videos ahead, and I'd love for you to be there. Until next time, trust what you see, trust what you feel, and keep choosing clarity over confusion. You've earned it.